to LabLink's webinar series. I'm Thomas Cole, and I will talk about PCmover Enterprise and how you can reduce the cost and hassle of PC refresh. We're actually a 42-year-old software company in Bellevue, Washington. And yeah, 42 years, that makes us one of the oldest software companies around. I think Microsoft and Adobe are a little bit older, but we do have a lot of experience in any kind of file transfer, remote control, migrations. And over the years, we have worked with Microsoft, Intel, all the major OEMs and the major retailers, not only in the US, but worldwide. But of course, with Microsoft Intel, we have a special relationship because we have been part of the Windows PC from the beginning. Our main product is PCmover, and it's a family of products that addresses the needs of consumers, SMB, but especially enterprise users. We are the commercial market leader for migrating apps, data, and settings from an old PC to a new PC. And that becomes a big deal where we are in this phase where more and more AI PCs need to be purchased and deployed in your networks. I think everybody is clear about that moving to the world of AI software means also we need AI hardware. Running AI software that has a much higher need of power and performance, running that on old software and old hardware is not very efficient. So everybody expects that the growth rates of PC will actually accelerate after years of flatness or decline, and that all organizations have to move not only to Windows 11, but also move to new hardware. We're doing also a lot of development on new versions where we look at the transition to these new innovative concepts. We will leverage generative AI that is much more powerful and easier to use. And we can also use that to increase the reporting and analysis of migration processes for large customers. As I said, LabLink PCmover is the worldwide solution for migration software. We're available in 22 languages and, of course, even in more markets. And PCmover is the only migration software that is recommended by Microsoft, Intel, Dell, Lenovo, HP, LG, Samsung, and other industry leaders. We believe that we can save you 3 to 5 hours of time and $300 per desktop deployed. That's a big ticket item. In the times where IT labor is scarce, more expensive, we have to look at where can we save money and make the whole process more effective. And as I said, this is a time where refresh must be one of your big goals in your organization. Pat Gelsinger from CEO has said many times, refresh, as like a broken record. But it's true. If we want to take care of the new software generations, we need to refresh the hardware. Apart from the application data and settings, we can also support the development of Microsoft Entra, which is formerly known as Azure Active Directory. Microsoft has pushed this product to replace the very aging Active Directory, which was a local-based server solution for managing your users. And many organizations, or nearly all organizations, moved to Entra ID, but there are no solutions to attach your software. I will talk about that more. What is PCmover moving? Well, application, all kinds of document, pictures, videos, music, all kinds of files, but also user accounts and all the settings associated with these. So that is a big subject for being more effective in migrating all the PCs to a new generation. When we look at the IT deployment process, I always see 5 stages. Stage 1 is the inventory and compatibility analysis, all that you need to prepare before you even think about the new PCs. Stage 2, new PC standards. What's your desktop imaging? How do you want to do it? And also the logistics of hardware, software, services, etc. Then you come to a very crucial stage, and that is migrating the user personality. That means the application, data, and settings, and even to the new PC. And in many cases, this process has not received the attention due to Microsoft ignoring it. A lot of the industry analysts ignore this stage because they think, oh, the user can just do that, or it's little stuff for IT. But we have so much data and application today on our machines. They are very important for our daily job. They are very different from perhaps my neighbor over in the next office because he's doing something different. So we need to really make a much better job of creating the new PC that they can start working from day one. Stage 4, post-migration help desk support and perhaps training, also very crucial because if you didn't do a good job at stage 3, you have a whole big workload in stage 4. Stage 5 is reassignment disposal of old PC. You know all the horror stories where PCs were given away to charity or second hand. Your old files could be retrieved even after you formatted the PC 3 times. They could be retrieved and very confidential data made it into the public domain. We do have a product for it called Safe Erase, but I will not talk about that today. I will mostly focus on the stage 3 of migrating the user personality. So I get asked a lot of times, why do we need a different automation product? We have the Microsoft suite of products, and that is good enough. No, it is not good enough. Microsoft has great software for great processes. But when it comes to the deployment process, they will help greatly with deployment of corporate images with Autopilot. And that is where their interest is mostly get the new Windows on your PC, not what's on the old PC. The transfer of personality from the old PC to the new PC is the area where PCmover can help you drive cost out of the whole deployment process with great results. Microsoft does sometimes talk about, oh, you can just use OneDrive. No, that is not the right solution, and it's not a migration solution. OneDrive will only load up the data into the cloud that you tell it to load up. It doesn't have any scanning functionality. It doesn't have great filtering. So OneDrive is not the right solution, and it means that data is left behind. And we had heard that from many users that went into that direction. But it's an easy way for the organization to say, oh, yeah, let the user deal with it. If they don't get the data up in the cloud and will not retrieve it, that's their problem. No, it's the problem of the organization. And that's where the business owners in the organizations will have a different view than just to have OneDrive data. Post-deployment, we have PC management. Microsoft has a great product with Intune. We have a competing product with Lapling Everywhere, but I will not talk about the differences here. I only want to say that, yeah, that's a different process. Microsoft has a great product. We do too. Recycling of old PC, we have Lapling Safe Erase that can help you. So we can talk about this more. You can talk with our reps and our engineers about it, but it's a very important positioning that don't go into, the Microsoft world without understanding that the transfer of the personality is not covered by Microsoft. A lot of times when they talk about it, they say that is self-service, meaning that's what you have to do yourself. So I think that is a very important distinction. So we have a couple migration scenarios in the product that are standard. And number one is transfer between PCs. That is, you move the application data and settings from an old PC to a new PC. You do it through the network or you do it through a cable. It very much depends on your IT policies. For example, you don't want the traffic on your network. Secondly, you don't want the data on your network. We have some defense contractors who say that data will not go on our network. We will use specialized secure cables. Using cables seems old school, but it's still a very fast way to do that. We have USB 2 and 3 cables. We have also Ethernet cables that can be used. And we have the new Thunderbolt cables. And right now there's a migration from Thunderbolt 3 to Thunderbolt 4. We support both of these technologies, and you can use also third-party Thunderbolt cables. But you have to make sure that they have the Thunderbolt logo on it. There are a lot of cables out in the wild that do not work because they will not communicate correctly with the Intel subsystems for Thunderbolt. We have a Thunderbolt cable, and you can be assured that that is the right cable for you. We have a second scenario, which we call the file-based transfer, or you could better say transfer over an external device. And here, instead of directly streaming it over from old to new PC, we first take the application data and settings off the PC, store it in a cloud device or an external drive, however you want to do that, and then bring it back to the new PC. The beauty of that scenario is for a lot of organizations is that they can automate it with their network management software, whether it is from Microsoft or other vendors. And they could also basically take the application and data and put it into their cloud data center over a cloud transport. This is not OneDrive. This would be enterprise blob storage, special way of saving data, and we can certainly set you up to do that. We support Azure as well as AWS, so that is a different way to do it, basically asynchronously. The third area is the image and drive assistant, and that's more of a sometimes a fix scenario, because if you have, for example, an image of your old PC and the old PC fails, gets lost in the driveway, gets stolen, whatever, then you can retrieve all your data from that image. And it doesn't matter who the image provider is, as long as you can bring the data back and mount it to the new PC so that Windows can read the data and the files on that. If that is the case, then we can take all the data off the image and put it on the new PC. And that works also from Windows 10 to Windows 11. So we are running above Windows. We are not taking Windows with us because the migration should be always to the newest OS. But you can also do Windows 10 to Windows 10 or 11 to 11, doesn't matter, or 11 to the next version, whatever that might be. But the important point here is you cannot necessarily take an image and put it on the new PC. There are always problems with different hardware generations. Oh, you have a Dell, you buy now an HP, different drivers. But certainly you can do it is to have a standard image on the new PC and then bring over the old image, because it will delete the whole new image and defeats the purpose. Imaging is not good for migration of from old PC to a new PC, because it would delete all your image that you have already on the new PC. The second piece of this is the drive assistant. So there's a cool way, and some technicians use that very successfully, and that is to take out the hard drive and attach it to your new PC, and we can extract the application data and settings from that hard drive and put it onto the new PC. There are also tech benches and retailers that use our products, so you can go there and they will do it with this drive assistant, take the drive out. That is naturally not a consumer feature or an end user feature, because I couldn't get a hard drive out of a laptop if my life depended on it. Sometimes it's special tools. So that is really an expert migration. But if your laptop screen doesn't work, the keyboard is broken, whatever, as long as the hard drive works, we can retrieve that PC. And that's the good news. Last one is the profile migrator. I already talked about the migration from Azure Directory, Active Directory to Azure Active Directory, which is now called Microsoft Entra. When you put the new directory service onto your PC, you lose access to all of your data and settings, etc., and all user-based applications, because you are a different profile. You might have the same name, yeah, you are Joe at abc.com, but behind it are very different technologies. So Microsoft can't do that. They say, reinstall everything. Well, that's wonderful, but costs a lot of time. So they came to us and we work with them. So they now have with us a solution that will do it on the same PC. It's a very easy way to move all the application data and settings to the new Entra ID, and so you are good to work. Over the last years, we have worked with a tremendous amount of great companies. And they're in all areas of business, and government, healthcare, and education. And we have learned so much from our customers. And because of what they are talking about, we can make better products. But we have customers who will, move 10,000 or 50,000 PCs a year, and customers who are doing 50 PCs a year. It doesn't matter. It gets better by using an automated migration solutions versus doing it manually. Manually is not the best solution at all, as you can imagine. But because of that, every day we are working with customers who have different scenarios. Not every organization has the same kind of settings, the same kind of IT policies, and so we learn a lot. And that gets me to, what are the complaints from companies that come to us? First of all, they think PC migration take too long, require too many IT resources, and are often incomplete. Yes, that's probably the number one complaint. Second one, departmental differences require too many planned scenarios, image scripts, and IT interactions. And you need a solution that can work in any kind of scenario and is very flexible and gets the job done. Logistical issues with loaners, remote users, and foreign locations. Well, COVID has shown you that not only do we have a lot of remote offices, we also have now tons of home offices. And I would say that although some solution might be you have one laptop and you can take it home and bring it back, well, there are also a lot of bring your own hardware, bring your own device, install what you want. And when it comes to foreign locations, you also have language issues and a lot of remote users. That is a big problem. User downtime exceeding 3 hours. So 3 hours of IT time is a big number. And we have heard, from 3 hours to 10 hours that it takes to set up a new PC. A lot of organizations do it differently because there are very few descriptive methods of how to do it. The easiest one, or said to be the easiest one, is do it yourself. No, it's not. If we do it at home, we will probably tinker around with a PC for a weekend to get it all done. And that is not good for your organization. It would just drive the cost up, and you might not have enough resources to do it at all. Another thing we hear all the time is post-migration support tickets. If the migration does not work or the new PC is not fully functional, you will get support calls. And that is a very hard cost to bear. At the end, the effects from that is unbudgeted cost and time overruns, user dissatisfaction, prolonged project cycles, and we believe a minimum of $300 of a cost impact. So let's see how we can avoid it. And I, have the title here, 5 mistakes to avoid. These are really the summary of what we hear from customers. I mean, certainly we can do more mistakes. I do that every day. And even IT departments with good planning and thorough budgeting and long-term experience make mistakes. But here are some of the experience that we heard about that you should avoid. First of all, don't underestimate the soft costs that are associated with user downtime, user learning, data and settings recovery. That is usually not in the IT budget, so nobody really cares. But the business owner will care if the productivity sinks during the migration process. And especially user data recovery is a big problem. What we also notice is the more customization that is left for the end user, the higher the support cost after the migration. It is easy to say, hey, end user, you can help with this. You can do this and this and this. At the end, the more the user is involved, the higher you have support cost because they are not IT professionals. They will call you and says, well, how do I do this? How do I do this? And support costs are very, very expensive. Every call is probably $50 to $80 with inflation, $100. That is something you need to avoid. Remote users in field offices, home offices, international subsidiaries increase costs exponentially, not linear. It is a myth that, it's a little bit more expensive. No, it is much more expensive to support remote users. Data and settings are left behind. Again, I mentioned that before. If you leave settings and data behind, you'll get calls and you have to deploy personnel to fix it. Incomplete application inventory results also in added migration time and data functionality loss. We often hear from the universities the stories that the IT people have to support the professor in the school. And they would go with their tools, their handbag, go to the school and say, well, where's the PC? I'm supposed to move it here. And where are your CDs and where are your download links and your codes and all that? And the professor said, I don't know. I didn't do it. I don't know. And so the end of the story is that the technician has to look at the PC, go back, find the links, then go back again. So multiple visits to the same machine will, of course, drive the cost up. That should be avoided in all cases. I get a lot of calls which says, well, tell me exactly, how do I look at it that I'm saving $300 or $2,000? What are the elements of that? Well, we created this value quadrant, and it's pretty easy to say, well, if you have on one axle, you have IT managed and user managed PCs. On the other hand, you have PC centralized or decentralized. If you have user managed PCs, and that happens more often, despite the fact that we see a trend to the virtual machine again, or the cloud PC, it's still a very small percentage. A lot of the user machines that are brought from home, that are open, the users are administrators, and if they're decentralized, then there's the highest value for automation. As I said, remote users are already the highest cost, and if they're user managed, nobody knows what's on the machine. So you need an automated solution that understands, that scans the whole machine, understands it, and can make an intelligent decision of what to move over, or an anticipated migration from the IT department who said, we want to take that over, this or that over. If, on the other hand, you have a bunch of PCs that are totally locked up, the user have no admin rights, there's only one image on it, they can't change it, they can't install any applications, and all the data is in the cloud. Well, then the value of automation trends to zero. But I would say that in most cases, you have a mixed environment in the business world and also in the government and education space, because there are hardly any organizations that have one image for all people except an image that has the OS and perhaps the new Office on it or the main applications. But you have many, many internal applications that are built within the company, that they are not public, and they are built for different reasons, different departments, so on. So I would say if you consider PCmover, you should understand that PCmover is not for every new PC. Because if you have it in the quadrant with IT managed and centralized, you might be totally locked down. You don't need PCmover. But you need it in any other of these mixed environments. And I always say PCmover might not be right for every PC, but it's right for every organization because you have a variety of user scenarios. And that is kind of a way to look at it from a strategic level. And perhaps also when you want to get your budget through the CFO, it's a good way to explain it. PCmover Enterprise versus its consumer counterparts has some special features in it. One is the policy manager module, and that is a wizard that can define the policy, how you want the automation and the procedures to be done in your organization. So you can streamline the migration by removing decisions that the user does not need to make because you are doing it already for the whole organization or for a group. You can do migration filtering, blacklist, whitelist. You can say, well, it shouldn't have this kind of data, it shouldn't have music or no videos. We have them in a video library. There are a lot of environmental variables that you can already set as the IT administrator. And so then at the desktop, they cannot be changed. It is a policy for that group of users that you are setting. The transfer manager is especially for remote users so that from a remote location, you can trigger migrations, monitor migrations, and without perhaps the use of the user, perhaps you can also do it off hours. It's a great tool to use when you're in a remote situation. PCmover has a client wizard that can help you configure it very easily. And I think that every IT admin can understand our product very quickly. Clearly, our engineers can help you so much in configuring the software so that you are faster in testing and faster in rollout. We also have enhanced reporting. The reporting will get better with AI so that you know what has been migrated, not only on the PC, but in your whole organization. So here's just a view of the policy manager. So you can create a policy by just clicking buttons in different areas. For example, if you don't want to use cables, you say, don't use cables. If you say, well, I don't want to use the network, you can filter out network decision making. So you have total flexibility in all your scenarios, and you can set it with an easy way. And it creates XML code that you don't have to program. We are doing that through software, and so it can be then applied to the right group of PCs that you want to use in your migration. So you can have one policy or 20 policies. That is very easy to manage and to roll out to your organization because PCs are not the same in all cases. Here's a view of the Enterprise Transfer Manager, and here you can select the desktops you want to migrate, you can attach a policy to it, and you can have the license management integrated. So that makes it very easy to do it remotely. Now, setting up the whole remote system, you should talk with our experts so that you get a quick view of how to do it, especially when it is with cloud storage. That is always a little bit more complicated than one thinks. Cloud is always easy unless you're talking with data centers and a lot of technology that is involved there. Another piece of the puzzle that I want to briefly just talk to it, we have here the transfer manager, and we added the integration of technology that is promoted by Intel. Intel for many years has integrated what is called vPro into the chipset of Windows PCs. vPro is a technology that allows you to connect to a PC without the PC running, or they can turn on the PC, power turn on, power turn off. Very important feature, I think, where I know that at least in Europe, there's a big movement where they said they want to save electricity and you should turn your PCs off at night. Well, that can be done through vPro functionality where PCs can be turned off and on without the user doing it or doing it automatically. Anyway, so PCmover and vPro are integrated so that we can also see vPro PCs, and vPro is then prepared to work very closely with PCmover because of our cooperation with Intel. If you want a vPro PC, make sure that you look in the PC description whether it supports vPro technologies, and look at Intel's a lot of information about vPro on that. It is really useful. And people, after having PCs go down from the CrowdStrike disaster, wish they have bought vPro PCs, because then they could have reset them much easier than what they went through for weeks after the disaster when a lot of PCs went down. So coming to an end, I want to leave you with some key messages. First of all, Lapling's PCmover Enterprise is the market leader for commercially available desktop migration software, period. We work with all segments of the market. We work with all retailers, service providers around the world, and you can trust us to get the job done. PCmover is the only migration software that is recommended and sold by Microsoft, Intel, Dell, Lenovo, HP, and many others of the OEM society, and of course the retailers, service providers, resellers, what have you. We have differentiation because of the technology leadership that we have. As I was talking about, Active Directory to Azure Active Directory / Entra ID, we can do that, work very closely with Microsoft to provide that solution to the Microsoft users. Remote management with Transfer Manager, also now with vPro integration. We have cloud transfer, and again, that's not OneDrive, that is enterprise blob storage, but that goes hand in hand with remote transfers. And lastly, we are working very hard on AI integration. We have new developments to improve user interaction. And of course, transfer data analysis, what people call AI ops. You will see more about that in the coming months from us. So how can you work with us? You can connect with us, and we can, in the pre-purchase, we can give you evaluation copies that are full working copies, live demos, tech talks. A lot of you will like the tech talks because you are talking to a techie, not a salesperson. So that makes it sometimes easier to, talk about the technologies and what you need to do before the sales rep talks about prices and licensing. But we will also support you during the tests, because you have a very unique environment, and before you do anything, you will test it anyway. In the purchasing, we have very flexible licensing programs, from site license to volume licensing, single multi-year purchasing program, so we can cover all your needs in that aspect. After you roll out or during the rollout, we provide onboarding and training opportunities. We'll give you full product support that is with our senior engineers who are connected into our development, so that we can also sometimes help with a custom version that is not released or extra done for our customers. And certainly, we will also have programs for maintenance for updated and new features. And you can reach us always 24/7, although Tier 2 and Tier 3 support, of course, works mostly business hours in the US. So otherwise, here are our contact data. Send an email to corpsales@lapling.com or visit our webpage to get more information. You have the ability to request a talk with an expert, request an evaluation copy, or connect with an account executive if you need to know more. We are there for you. We are very committed to our customers, and we would be delighted to work with your organization on the right program to migrate your new machines, probably your new AI machines, into your network and deploy it with the least amount of cost. Thank you for watching this webinar. Would be delighted to work with you. Get back to us. Thank you today, and goodbye.